And so you had recently, my understanding is you moved from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Yeah.
What prompted you to do that?
And I think it is a big question, and there's so many hands and thinking and perspectives that have like played a role into that big move. But I think, I don't know, it just came to the point, and yeah, I could say COVID is part of it too, but I would say like it came to a point in my life where I didn't really feel that, like, it's just I have to sacrifice everything to pursue what I love and what I want to do, not only for my mental health but also for my purpose and giving. Like, it's almost as if it's like I have it. It's almost as if I owe it to myself to be able to pursue the things that I enjoy, and it's almost this. I think a lot of it was just I felt like I just on a more mechanical level. It's just I was
Right.
waking up day and night, and then sitting in a desk in DC, and then like working on the computer, and it felt like there was this sort of like the entire world that just kind of collapsed on itself, and I felt like I wasn't necessarily aligned with my highest purpose and my highest excitement, because I always feel like the world, I'm coming to realize that the world needs more hopeful, more purposeful, more excited, more vibrant individual. And I think the world oftentimes finds so many aspects to make us sad and to doesn't really show us the visions of possible futures or even the hopefulness. I think we've all become very cynical, we're all cynics, and we're all suspicious of systems and things and what's happening. I think like a lot of this, for me, I was like at the center of like a political empire
Right.
that was sort of in decay. And and a lot of people were just like, it's like I went to the streets in the Black Lives Matter movement in front of the White House. Like that was just like, it felt like the world was almost ending. And I started, as the world ended, I felt like my beliefs and our sort of democratic process systemically, and in terms of my capabilities to align and change within the system, sort of decayed as well. And I sort of moved more and more and more to the realm of the artists, and how the artists themselves, storytellers, like have such an important role to play in changing the hearts and minds of people. So I think a lot of it for me was just kind of this flip, because I studied international relations in high school, not high school, in grad school. And I also got my graduate degree in conflict transformation and peace building. And a lot of just a lot of these things didn't match up. So I think a lot of the work that I do with artists, and I want to work with more artists and storytellers, is the work of peace building. It's the work of conflict transformation. It's the work of healing the heart and soul of people. And I think media as a tool, as a social practice, I think can engage society in ways that you haven't seen, no one has ever seen before. It can't be bounded by processes. I think policy is important, don't get me wrong.
Right.
I think there's incredibly bright people that are working day to day to move the system, whether it's in the federal government, in the Congress, or an activist. But I do feel like the arts, whether it's film, whether it's science fiction, whether it's fantasy, whether it's music, whether it's painting, I think art itself in our times right now, we desperately need it. It is the healthy hope of and it's a remedy to the sickness of cynicism that is plaguing our world right now.
I love that perspective. I mean, it's true, and I totally agree with you. There's just a lot of cynicism, and people are just they lack hope. And a long time ago, I've always been hopeful, right? People used to make fun of me, but that's part of my personality, because it helps you get through it helps you get through a tough time rather than wanting to give up.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed more people are craving creativity, and I'm one of them. And because it's healing, like you'd mentioned that. It's very healing. And we need to learn, like, I love how you say the storytellers, we can learn from them, and it's how you present the message and communication. And I think we need to focus more on positive things.
Absolutely. It's like I feel like our world is broken. And as a collective, we've internalized this brokenness. And I feel like art and creativity, or even being part of that creative process, is the only way to sort of come back to this space of holism that like the human mind and the human soul and the human spirit is so deeply tied to, I feel like.
Right. Oh my God, I just love what you're saying. You can tell that. Well, I mean, you're applying what you've learned and from your experiences and just I should say education, but what you went to school for, and you're applying it, and you realize that you had to get in a different environment, which I think is good. We all have examples of that. Trying to be in what you're surrounded by can affect you how you think. And I don't want us to be in a bubble, but at the same time, we need to be safe, right? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
And the stuff I've written about in the past, being a woman, that's some weird stuff that has happened. People don't realize all those weird stuff. And I am blessed. At the time, I didn't like being raised around the military as a military brat, but I'm blessed. I mean, I think about what I learned from that and how to act or not react, excuse me, and what their purpose was. So I was very fortunate to have some good role models as well.
Do you feel like
I was told, which was good, that I could do anything, and just because I'm a girl, I can do anything, which is what I needed to hear, because I grew up was born in the 60s and grew up in, it was different back then. And so I'm glad more women are doing better. They're making some progress, but that's probably why I just like to. I get more connected to people who are like what you have dealt with. I have more empathy. Does it make sense in a way?
Yeah.
Empathy is something that Seth talked a lot about too in altMBA, how important that was. And that'll help you not react or to pause, right? And to reflect on that. It is so beautiful what you just said. So you're in California now. So what are you doing? Are you still involved with, I'm assuming, trying to grow Syllble in a different way, or?
Yeah, like a lot. And I also want to respond to what you're saying as well. I think it's like very, very powerful, especially it's especially like the feminism and womanhood and in the context of like this brokenness is definitely, I feel it's come from like a patriarchal sort of
It has. And it's something I never mentioned to you before.